Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Pastor Mary. I'm recording early tonight because I forgot till yesterday that, yes, my book group, not my church book group, but Epiphany Lutheran church book group that I've been a part of for over 6 years is meeting tomorrow night. I've not been able to attend for a number of months, and I have read most of the book. I'm usually a little behind. Hey, good evening, Don. And so I'm going to book group tonight, so this will be posted online for those of you who look at 7 or later or on the next day. So anyway, I'm holding my phone because I have found the last 2 weeks, good evening, Don. The last couple times I've used my iPad, for some reason it scrambles my speaking, and we figured out it's got to be it's either the iPad. Hey, good evening, Kathy and Bill, probably. That the iPad, for some reason, isn't letting me speak normal anymore, and I wish it would because it's so much easier for me to record this instead of having to hold this in my hand as I'm holding my phone. But we figured out it's not Zoom works great. Good evening, Kathy. Zoom works fine on my iPad, as I know from church council and the Wednesday book group from St. John, it works fine. So we figured out it's probably something to do with Facebook, which means I need to send them a note and see if there's anything that will correct it. Good evening, Janet. So anyway, you get me, good evening, Sherry. So you get me on my phone, which makes it a little more awkward for me as I share or read things to you. Good evening. So anyway, I wanna read to you the book group at church. We are reading a wonderful book called An Altar in the World. I know it looks backwards to you all. A Geography of Faith by Barbara Brown Taylor. Barbara Brown Taylor is an Episcopal priest and a professor. I'm not sure if she's still, I keep fading. Well, I'm sitting in the same place in my house and I should be okay. So check where you're at, and if anybody else says I'm fading, let me know. This is the greatness of technology. I tried to sit outside because it's so lovely now, but the problem is the neighbor behind me is doing something with the loud machine, and I figured it was better to hear a little bit of Christopher in the background or David chopping something for dinner than it was for me to sit outside and try to compete with the loud machine. So anyway, we've been reading this book. We're on chapter 4, which is what I'm going to read from tonight, which is the practice of walking on the earth. The premise of the book is that we encounter God in our life, but we often miss God, I think. We often miss God. And so every chapter deals with a different part of our life with God. Last week was a great chapter, the practice of wearing skin, which was an excellent chapter. But this one is the practice of walking on earth. And I wanted to share a little bit of it with you tonight and probably tomorrow night too. So just so you know, I will be attending right now with summer and things going on. I will be at, hey, good evening, Paula. I will be at Wednesday night worship at church probably every other week. And hey, good evening, Joan. And when I'm there, we will broadcast it live. And probably the weeks that I'm not there because they don't have anybody to run the equipment for them, probably it'll be me doing devotions online, which is what I'll be doing tomorrow night. I'll be doing devotions online tomorrow night with you all. So we'll see if I have a way to play music for you to hear tomorrow night. But anyway. So this chapter is about the practice of walking on earth. And I wanted to read you this section about walking. So Barbara Brown Taylor says this. Not everyone is able to walk, but most people can, which makes walking one of the most easily available spiritual practices of all. All it takes is the decision to walk with some awareness, both of who you are and what you are doing. Where you are going is not as important, however counterintuitive that may seem. Good evening, Paula. To detach the walking from the destination is, in fact, one of the best ways to recognize the altars you are passing right by all the time. She talks about the altars of God in the world that we miss or ignore because we're so busy with other things in life that we miss these opportunities to draw close to God. She continues, most of us spend so much time thinking about where we have been or where we are supposed to be going that we have a hard time recognizing where we actually are. When someone asks us where we want to be in our lives, the last thing that occurs to us is to look down at our feet and say, here, I guess, since this is where I am. What a good answer. I love it. This truth is born out of the labyrinth, an ancient spiritual practice that is enjoying a renaissance in the present century. For those who have never seen one, and I should mention, if you have not gone out to see the one at St. John, there's an outdoor labyrinth at St. John. And as you listen to this, you'll understand it's a very simple thing to walk. It is a spiritual practice, and it is right there on our grounds. And so this is about a labyrinth. An ancient spiritual practice, for those who have never seen one, a labyrinth is kind of a maze. Laid out in a perfect circle with a curling path inside, it rarely comes with walls. Instead, it trusts those who enter it to stay on the path voluntarily. This path may be outlined with hand-placed stones out of doors or painted right on the floor indoors. Either way, it includes switchbacks and detours just like life. It has one entrance and it leads to one center. The important thing to note is that the path goes nowhere. You could spend an hour on it and end up 12 feet from where you began. The journey is the point. The walking is the thing. Now, I want to just enter here and say, I have walked many labyrinths in my life. I have walked outdoors and indoor labyrinths. Good evening, Bonnie. I have walked a beautiful labyrinth that was a woven rug of a labyrinth in a beautiful cathedral in San Francisco that is the exact replica of Notre Dame. And it sits on top of a hill. It's Grace Episcopal Church. I have walked labyrinths in fields. I have walked labyrinths that have been painted on big canvases to walk. I have walked labyrinths while singing music. I have enjoyed every single one. And the thing that I find key is just letting go of your life and just staying open and just walking and letting the Spirit move you. Okay, that's my 2 cents. Now, let's go on. Not too long ago, I walked a labyrinth, Barbara Brown Taylor said, for the first time in my life. Now, she wrote this book over 10 years ago. I had flirted with labyrinths for years, but my expectations were so high that I kept finding reasons not to walk one. I did not want to hurry. I did not want to share the labyrinth with anyone who might distract me. And you can wind up walking a labyrinth if there's an event going on. You might walk it with other people, or you can go and walk it alone. I did not want to be disappointed. I looked forward to walking a labyrinth so much that looking forward to it kept me from doing it for years. Then one day I met a lady who showed me the labyrinth on her land. Set in a small grove of pines, it was made of found stones, with a large one as round as a pillow near the entrance. When the wind blew, invisible chimes tinkled in the branches overhead, while pine needles sifted down to pad the circular path below. Beyond the edge of the trees, I saw a small pond sparkling in the sun, and 2 horses grazing behind a fence. I could walk the labyrinth whenever I wanted to, my host said, even if she were not there. I did not even have to call first. With all of my excuses gone, I returned one late summer afternoon, said a prayer, and entered the labyrinth. The first thing I noticed was that I resented following a set path. Where was the creativity in that? Why couldn't there be more than one way to go? The second thing I noticed was how much I wanted to step over the stones when they did not take me directly to the center. Who had time for all those switchbacks with the destination so clearly in sight? The third thing I noticed was that reaching the center was no big deal. The view from there was essentially the same as the view from the start. My only prize was the heightened awareness of my own tiresome predictability. I thought about calling it a day and going over to pat the horses, but since I predictably followed the rules, even while grousing about them, I turned around to find my way out of the labyrinth again. Since I already had been to the center, I was not focused on getting there anymore. Instead, I breathed in as much of the pine smell as I could, sucking in the smell of sun and warm stones along with it. When I breathed out again, I noticed how soft the pine needles were beneath my feet. I saw the small mementos left by those who had preceded me on the path. A cement frog, a rusted horseshoe, a stone freckled with shiny mica. I noticed how much more I notice when I'm not preoccupied with getting somewhere. Are you the same way? I am that way many of the time. When the path delivered me back to where I had begun, I lay down with my head on the stone pillow and dreamed the same dream Jacob dreamed, the night he saw the angels of God climbing up and down a ladder right where he lay. Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. The beauty of physical practices like this one is that you do not have to know what you are doing in order to begin. You just begin, and the doing teaches you what you need to know. What do you need to know? How would I know? When I walked that labyrinth in the pines, I walked in my 5'10" white woman's body, a body with a history that is not identical, as far as I know, to anyone else. I'm early, Cheryl. I'm recording to leave it online because I'll be gone tonight. I have book group, and I haven't got to go for months, so I'm very excited to go to book group because we are reading a wonderful book. Anyway, I'll share that in a minute. I walked with my own particular compulsivity, which gives me a chance to notice my own distinct anxieties and longings. If I'd walked it on a Tuesday instead of a Saturday, I might have had a different experience. If I'd walked it with someone else instead of alone, I certainly would have walked it differently. With so many variables available to me all by myself, I cannot imagine the possibilities available to those who walk the path wearing their own skin. The labyrinth may be a set path, but it does not offer a set experience. Instead, it offers a door that anyone may go through to discover realities that meet each person where each most needs to be met. I think that is so true, and I have to tell you, if you've never walked a labyrinth, I would tell you not to have great expectations, but just to go with an open heart and let God speak to you. I have found the labyrinth to be amazing, and I will say I have not walked the labyrinth in St. John, and shame on me because I love labyrinths. But because we've been talking about them so much, and I've been reading about them, and I talked about them last Wednesday, I'm going to walk the labyrinth this week when I'm out at church on Thursday. I don't know what time, but I'm going to do it. And when I do, I'm just going to open myself up. And when I do that, I find that God touches me and reaches me in a way that my regular life cannot seem to reach. And I've always had wonderful experiences walking the labyrinth. And I think the key is just not worrying about getting to the center or getting out or how much time, but just walking it slowly, listening to the sounds and seeing the sights, and staying open to what God might be saying or bringing to you as you walk the labyrinth. So then I'm going to read this last part. She says, it offers a door that anyone may go through to discover realities that meet each person where each most needs to be met. I suppose, she says, this is frustrating to people who want spiritual practices to work the same way a treadmill does. I have a treadmill which works very well. If I follow the instructions, walking at least 30 minutes every day to elevate my heart rate up to, but not more than, 130 beats per minute, then I can expect certain predictable results. Over time, I can lower my pulse, improve my muscle tone, and maybe even lose a little weight. My treadmill is no respecter of persons. It delivers reliable results to anyone who uses it on a regular basis. It makes promises it can keep, at least to those who use it the way they are supposed to. Spiritual practices are not like this. The only promise they make is to teach those who engage in them what those practitioners need to know about being human with other people, about being human in creation, about being human before God. The great religious traditions of the world are so confident of this that they command dozens of spiritual practices to their followers without telling those practitioners exactly what will happen when they do. Go to your cell, advised the Desert Fathers of the 4th century, and your cell will teach you everything. The cell is where they would sleep, where they would stay. If you want more details than that, the only way to get them is to choose a practice and begin. So I'm going to stop there for now. But the practice of the labyrinth. I invite you, if you're anywhere close to St. John, to come anytime you want, day or night. If you're coming at night, probably better bring your flashlight. You go down the driveway, parking lot, and there's a sign there that says the labyrinth, and you can go there and walk the labyrinth. Oh yeah, it's wonderful, Linda. It's a wonderful thing. She said that her 7-year-old grandson Nathan and her walked a labyrinth at a church in Santa Fe. At first, Nathan was confused, but with direction from his dad and I, he figured it out quickly and loved him. I told him that the next time he came to Nana's in Georgia, we could walk the labyrinth at church that his dad did for his Eagle Project. Oh, that's great. I didn't know your son did it. That's wonderful. And Grandpa helped with it too, Papa. That's wonderful. Well, I will think of Bob when I walk the labyrinth this week. And I know it may be my first time, but it will not be my last time, because I plan to walk it pretty regularly now. When the Spirit touches me, which the Spirit is touching me, I let too many other things get in the way, and that's the thing with spiritual practices. We have to choose to make the time for them, even if it's just a short period of time, because the world keeps us busy, our mind keeps us occupied, and sometimes the occupation is not the best, especially when we're worrying. And using spiritual practices, I'll try to share more spiritual practices. Maybe not every day, but try to share one at least once a week with you. And you can choose one that's good for you, that speaks to you or maybe moves you. Trying spiritual practices can bring us closer to God. So thank you, Linda, so much for sharing that. I'm so grateful. And I probably knew Bob had helped your son do it, but I forgot that, and I will definitely remember that when I walk it. So thank you. Just a couple prayer requests. Bill and Sherry have asked for prayer requests for Bill. He will have surgery next Tuesday, and Bill and Sherry said if you want to know anything more, just get a hold of Sherry, and she'll be glad to tell you. We just want to pray for the best possible results for Bill. My good friend, my very dear friend Cheryl, who has been on here very faithfully until she had her accident 2 weeks ago, she's at rehab and in recovery. I left a message for her, but I've not heard back, but I'm sure it's taking all of her energy to be able to recover from complete hip replacement and her bad break, and I hope it didn't do any other damage to her, but I'm getting ready to send her a card. And Cheryl, I have not got an address for her yet. I'm waiting for her sister to give me one, but as soon as I get it, I'll let you know. So please keep Cheryl and her recovery in your prayers as well. I'm also grateful for my cousin Tish's birthday was yesterday, and today is I'm going blank. And I can't look at my phone because I have it, but and I'll think of it, as soon as I get off of here. But anyway, happy birthday to my cousin Tish. Yesterday was her birthday. A lot of people I know had birthdays yesterday. If it's your birthday today, happy birthday to you. I'll text it to you when I have it. I will. I don't really have a lot of other prayer requests right now, but if you have prayer requests, please, okay. Bonnie asked for prayers for a friend, Barbara Todd's family, as she went home to the Lord this morning. So Bonnie, we will definitely keep her in our prayers, and I look forward to seeing you at church this Sunday. And for those who didn't hear Friday night, we will be going back into our sanctuary on Sunday, July 4th. More information to come. Please check your newsletter to tell you all about that, weekly newsletter online, and you'll know more about that. If you have any other prayer requests, please let Lynn or myself know. I'll be sure to lift them up. And thank you for joining me tonight. I'm sorry it's early, but as I shared, well, great, Bonnie. I'll look forward to seeing you again. But as I shared, I haven't gone to my book group in probably 3 months. And so I get to go tonight, and I've read almost all the book. It's actually, it's Fannie Flagg's newest book. It is The Wonder Boy of Whistle Stop. And it is a fantastic book. If you've either read or watched the movie Fried Green Tomatoes, it is the follow-up of that, and it gives more of the stories of Iggy and Ruth and Ruth's son. And it is wonderful. I absolutely love it. I think Fannie Flagg is an amazing writer. I also enjoy her acting, and she's a great Southern writer, and she's a great writer who writes about the South, and she writes wonderful stories. Well, Linda, I'll tell you what, we will walk the labyrinth. We'll set up a time to walk the labyrinth, and then we'll maybe do a day when an hour or two where anybody wants to come by and walk. You know, I could share about the practice, and we can walk it together too. So don't worry, we'll get to walk together, I promise. I hope you have a great time with your daughter. Yes, after you get back, I'm not leaving till July 18th when I'll be going on my trip back to the Midwest. So we will work it in, okay? That'll be great. So, okay, and if you're in book group, don't forget, I will send out tomorrow, I will send out to you the Zoom connection, and we will meet tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, and devotions will be on here at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. There will also be worship live at church at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. Gail Harville will be leading it along with the group, and hope that you can join there if you wish, or if not, join me online for devotions. That's it for tonight. I hope you have a great evening, great rest tonight, and good rest tomorrow. And I will ask for a little prayer. We have a sleep number bed, and the pump quit working, we think, this weekend. And David tried to order it on Saturday, and they kept putting him off. And we thought it would be here Monday, and we thought it would be here Tuesday, because his whole side is deflated. And so he's been sleeping on a couch downstairs in our house. So we're hoping it'll get here tomorrow. So we have other beds we can sleep on, but miss sleeping on the bed we usually sleep in, because we're hoping the pump will do the trick. So we're just praying that will do it. So if you'll just say a prayer, it gets here as soon as possible, and that's the problem, so we can get it fixed, that would be great. I appreciate that little prayer. So I ask God to watch over you and bless you all tonight too. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look upon you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Hey, everybody, have a great night. Have a great day tomorrow. And send me any prayer requests, and I'll see you back on here tomorrow night. Have a great night. Take care. Good night.